Everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to do Black Ritual, the Book of NYX, issue number 1 of 7. Spawn Universe New You. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I was intrigued by this, maybe because of the cover, and I didn't know the premise. I know that she's a witch, but then when I looked at read the book, I noticed that you have need some background information about this character, unfortunately. So it's not that you can go in blind and then know everything. It has a new chapter, but also it has a aftermath of some Spawn title. I mean, for instance, let's go in, right? So let's say here. So there's already battle going on, and this is a battle against Mon and Morana. I have no clue who they are, but it seems that they are pretty well known in the Spawn universe. And this is Al Simmons, by the way, with his wife. And it seems that Nyx here is, well, defeating this creature. I believe this happens in another book, and this is, I guess, the aftermath or a memory of the aftermath. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, yeah. Takes back in Spawn 184. I don't collect Spawn anymore. I just bought 1 to 100 many years ago, and after that I just quit because I was bored. I didn't like the art. I didn't like the direction. I was a little bit burnt out on comics anyway, and Spawn didn't give me that comic itch that I needed. So I picked this up. I read this, and there is some good in here. There's something that I think needs addressing. So this guy, I'm not sure if this is Mammon or what's this guy? Morana. So maybe this is Morana and this is Mammon. No, sorcerer, maybe a voodoo priest could be. And she's now the power to do something like this. And he says, well, but now I have, because her future self did it. I thought, oh man, I'm already overwhelmed. What do you mean future self? Who are these guys? So basically she defeats him. And she also warns him that you don't screw around with spawns because, it also draws attention to her, and she's a witch in her coven, I believe. So she says, stay out of it. And then she's doing something to him, which I don't know what, which immediately confuses me. So this little girl, I believe she's the daughter of Spawn or Al Simmons and Wanda. Can you still feel Spawn? Yeah, he's talking to me from the future. Says, Wanda, that is not your daughter. So this could be in the past before Al Simmons became Spawn. I'm just guessing, right? But it makes sense because Al and maybe they are together again. But, she was dead, right? Or is he now resurrected? Again, I don't read Spawn comics anymore. Anyway. So they're teleporting away, and he's just, Al is staying behind. So I'm not sure if it's in the now. So does it say here that this is in the past? No, it doesn't. So this is me just making stuff up along to make sense of this. Again, that gives me a problem. So what I did is looked up who Nyx is. It seems that Nyx was the first ruler of Hell, female ruler of Hell, or she ruled Hell. She spawned the first one. I don't know, right? But she has also an affair with Al Simmons somehow, although she looks like a girl, a young girl, and Al Simmons is just a grown man, right? I mean, I don't judge, but still. Fucking nose ring. But then Wanda says to her, hey, Nyx, I appreciate what you've done to my daughter, but you need to leave because I want to have a normal family again. So I'll be around if you need me. We won't. Okay. So this is probably then in the now, and Wanda is now resurrected again because she, like I said, died. I mean, there was the whole thing with Al Simmons become Spawn, right? Amongst other things. Anyway, so then we have this young girl. A few days later, New York City, right? And this young girl says, I need to get to Camille. Another person that I don't know right? So is Camille important or just a random name? And then she's being, I know, she noticed that she's being followed, and so this man picks her up and said, "Hey, are you okay?" She said, "This guy's chasing me." What guy? Right? And she's running away again. And she thinks that she's going into the alley, that she will be safe because she can turn it into a maze, suggesting to me as a reader that she is also a witch or a Wiccan. I mean, that's the modern popular word, right? So this guy's known as the Puritan, right? And he is slowly chasing her, and then she thinks that she is safe because there's supposedly a door here, but then the door is not here. And the Puritan says, "Hey, there's nowhere to go. You're doomed," right? "The trial is upon us. Do not fight. I will only make it. It will only make it worse." And then she's, tried to attack him. I said, "Okay, cool. A dagger," and he's using his powers. He says, "Enough. I stand before you with the authority of God himself. It's time to accept your fate, witch." And she says, "You have no authority over me." And then I think this looks cool. She's using a spell, and also I like the words. And then she cuts her hand, make it blood bleed all over the dagger. And then she's coming, as a flaming dagger, right? She calls her filthy hexen. So she attacks him, but then, oh no, it's very anticlimactic because he says it's over. "By the name of holy names of our lords, God, Elohim, Jehovah, Adonai, and the secret name that is only known only to the flame-kissed, I accuse you, I denounce you, I condemn you." And then a scream, so we don't know what's happening. I said, okay, that looks cool. And then comes out of it, and talk about sacrifice and Sabbaths and unholy things and corrupt souls and all that stuff, right? Now, the criticism that among other things I have is, I wish the artist changed a little bit of the, if you look at this, he comes in here, which looks exactly the same or mostly the same, and here as well, all from the front. I mean, you don't see him from the back or the side. It's just, it has a very similar aesthetic from the similar angle, standing there in the alley like this, and then, like this, like this, like this. It's I don't think that's good. If you want to make something epic or dynamic or interesting, this isn't doing it for me. Just a blurb of shadow with red eyes, right? And then with very minimalistic backgrounds. The color, coming back to that, is setting the mood, and which is a plus and a minus, and something that I don't like. And I come back to that as well. What I do appreciate is that the art is basically drawing the backgrounds himself, although pretty minimalistic at some places. So sometimes I think, okay, that looks cool. For instance, here. So we have Nyx here, and she doesn't know where to go, and she decided to come home here in, I believe this is Manhattan. And so I think, okay, this looks nice, and the colors complement that with the darkness and the lights and all that stuff. It gives us a very moody feel, all right? And this is a crow. So, and then she steps in over some kind of a threshold, and she knows it's here. But basically, the threshold is not to keep people out, but it's more like an alarm bell for other beings that they know that is someone with certain powers come into Manhattan, right? Which is cool. I said, okay, this looks cool. But then when you come up closely, you see the problems. I wish the artist would go a little bit in and, clean up this mess here. I mean, if this was a very small panel, like here, I wouldn't mind. But since this is a splash page, a full page, you can see the inconsistency here when it comes to the art. You have the buildings here in front, but then when you look a little bit closer, it just fades into this squishy, scratchy, quick, blocky, especially here. This looks not good at all. I mean, you cannot tell me that you don't go in and have clean lines and, do a little bit more, I don't know, refinement, more straight lines and more definition and and details instead of this, you know, Photoshop blurby guy with all these blacky blobs here at the backgrounds and all that stuff. It just, I don't like that. The color is basically, it's not really saving the page, but it makes the page more appealing to a certain degree. Like I said, if this was a smaller panel, cool, I don't mind, but you know, it should be a completely detailed Manhattan with streets and you know, different layouts instead of, okay, we have buildings here and then it disappears in, you know, in the background, which, yeah, okay. Anyway, and a shadowed world exists in New York City. Those with great power reside here. An age-old agreement still stand between them to maintain the warden spell together. Nyx would have avoided the spell with ease, but now she wants them all to know she's coming home. And these are probably the players in town. And I think, okay, cool, I like that. But again, if you have a splash page here, right, and then you go into immediately in something like this, which is not really a splash page, but you know, a very blown up panel that you could put it here, and then the rest of the art that needs to be drawn could be here down here, right, from the top. But the creator don't do that. They say, hey, let's do another big page with a pentagram inside as a background. Let Photoshop guy handle this and then draw 5 panels in the middle. I think that's a waste of page, in my opinion. But when it comes to mood, because of this crow, maybe it's just me nostalgia because I like the movie The Crow a lot. I mean, the original with Brandon Lee. And it really gives me that, you know, darker gothic vibe because of the colors. But I come to the colors a little bit later. Also, I appreciate, although not perfect, that the artist is doing some backgrounds here, very minimalistic. And you see some wobbly lines here, but at least it's not 3D assets, which most artists is now doing. The colorist is also, you know, saying, okay, there's something happening because she's here at the diner. She wants to get coffee, right? And then she got a vision. And then this whole scene here, not what's inside, but more these blood-spattered panels, is very, very spawny, very... well, it's not really 90s, more, I believe, mid-2000s image, right? With this kind of panels, a lot of blood spatters. So this, I believe, visions from the past and present and something that is to come all through each other, right? So that honestly gives me more questions. So this is the other she spawn. I believe that she has her own title, I guess, with others as well. I like I said, I don't read Spawn anymore, but I just only see bits and pieces. This looks like Witchblade, but she probably isn't. But she stated that she is hunted, being murdered, right? She's on the throne. She's the avatar of something greater. Or could this be that she is Nyx here, but then in the future? I don't know. Anyway, so when it comes to coloring again, what I don't like is these very popping bright colors, something from dark to bright. Let's say the eyes as an example. It really looks like some kind of a kid with a crayon just say, okay, let's draw this here and then this here and then this here. You know, instead of going really in and, you know, draw nice colors so that it has a different look instead of, okay, just draw the color greenish yellow over the eyes that is white and call it a day, you know, like you did probably when you are 7 years old on a piece of paper. I think that looks cheap, but you know, like I said, the color also gives it a very dark gothic mood, which I like. So, all right, and then we have this, you know, and this woman says, hey, I know what this is. You have to sight, don't you? So did my mother. What did you see? How I'm going to die. So it seems that these people know what magic is or witchcraft, or maybe this woman is also part of the coven. I don't know. No, you know. So I need more answers. Again, I like what they are doing here, but you have to have knowledge about Spawn comic books to give a little bit more knowledge, to know who this character is, what she can do, instead of, if you just, I mean, rip this whole thing out, you know, this aftermath of this battle, you know, and then go straight into this chapter as the first one, I think it would be cool, because you don't, I mean, then I don't have the impression that I need to know all this information, right? I also don't like this, you know, repeating panels. The other problem that I have with this book is it's only 22 pages. $4, 22 pages. I mean, if you're doing crowdfunding comics like I do, I mean, I'm doing 32 pages, but if you do crowdfunding, I think, yeah, you can get away with that if you are. But this is an image. This is an image book, right? So this is a big publisher. And you do 22 pages for $4. I don't know, man. So I think that's a big, you ask a lot. So what do I think about it? I think it has potential, but I don't want to be dragged into something, you know, that I'm going into this series and then, this is something from a Spawn book. Oh, this is something from another image book. Or this is something from the very past. And then I have to go back to check that all out to know exactly what's going on in here. If this is a self-contained story with 7 issues, I said, yeah, okay, go for it, right? But if this a book is that leads to other issues to know what's going on in this issue, I'm checking out. So I bought or ordered issue number 2. So I'm getting that probably in a couple of weeks. And then we're going to check it out. And if it's not grabbing me or it's not progressing in the way that I think I would like this book to see, then I'm checking out. But, you know, it has some fun things in here, to be honest. It's a little bit, I'm a little bit on the flip side. You know, it's a little bit 50-50 for me. There's some good things in here, but also some things that puts me off. But, you know, we're going to find out how it's going to go in the next issue. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Sorry for the so much rambling. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.